Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 2025 film The Strangers Chapter 2, and this is directed by Rennie Harlan and stars Madeline Petch. When the strangers learn that Maya, the survivor from Chapter 1, is still alive, they continue to hunt her down and finish what they started. Well guys, I gotta say where I stand with this trilogy and the original film and everything before I get into it. The original film, for me, I am not a fan of. I've seen it 3 times now, and I think it probably is one of the most overrated horror movies I've ever seen. It gets progressively worse as well. Every time I watch it, I don't like the 2 main protagonists, and I find it really boring. The Strangers Prey at Night was definitely a step up. Great movie, great slasher, very fast-paced and frantic. I really enjoyed that one. So when they said they were going to do a trilogy of The Strangers, I was kind of like, they must have something there within the story to tell, you know, a lot more lore to be expanded, to do 3 chapters, and each one of them might bring something different. So without getting too excited, I was just more optimistic. And Rennie Harlan at the seat, who is a good director, I think he's made some real bangers in the past, I was all in, even though I wasn't a fan of that original movie. And I went into chapter 1 hoping that we were going to see something there, some potential and everything. Good start to the trilogy. And it was essentially just a rehash of the original. And I got to say, I liked it a little bit better, but I was still disappointed in that movie because I thought they were going to do something totally different, but they kind of just remade the original film. However, it had 2 better protagonists in this one, and it wasn't as dull and boring as that original movie for me. But it still wasn't a great film or anything. You know, I know a lot of people hate Chapter 1, and I can see exactly where they're coming from, but I would definitely rather rewatch that over the original film. So it did pick up a little bit there on the whole franchise for me, where I thought, okay, let's see what they can do with Chapter 2. Surely we're going to go in some new directions here. And, you know, I kind of just really wanted to see what they had in store for us. So let's get into it. Now, first off, one of the biggest positives about this film is Madeline Petch as the main protagonist, Maya, in this film. And she's not going to go down in Scream Queen lore like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween or Sydney in Scream or anything like that. But I think she's a good, solid character to get behind here. I think she's got a real strength about her. She's got a warrior within. And her arc only grows even more throughout this film. I mean, she looked absolutely terrified in that Strangers Chapter 1. And here she is very anxiety-ridden. She's paranoid about everyone, which you can understand after the ordeal she's just been through. But she does seem to overcome it by showing a little fight towards these strangers characters who are coming after her and, you know, taking no bullshit, really, and taking the fight to them when she can, outsmarting them at times. And I really just liked her performance as well. I think she's a really good actress. Would like to see her in a lot more things. I don't think I've seen her in anything else apart from The Strangers Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, but she was definitely the high point of the film. I had no problem with her whatsoever. The best character in the movie as well, easily. And talking of these villains, the strangers, I think they have an interesting-ish look to them. I mean, they're just people with masks on, really, aren't they? But that Scarecrow character, I believe he's named, the Sackhead guy, he always reminded me of the guy wielding the chainsaw in Resident Evil 4. So I always draw comparisons to that character a little bit there. I know that's a little bit of a personal weird reason, but I've always liked the look of this guy, and he is very intimidating in this movie, I think, especially when he starts running with this big axe of his. And, you know, most killers will walk quite fast, won't they? But this guy just runs at people and stuff. And I always found him to be a little bit creepy at times. And he is the standout of the strangers for me. The other 2, they look okay and stuff, but, you know, he's the one who's like the leader of the group and everything, isn't he? And yeah, he was the best part about the whole horror side of things in this movie, I suppose. I'm going to say the movie is nicely lit and good to look at visually. It does the job, you know, like you would think with a mainstream horror movie these days. But I do really like how all the interiors are lit, a little bit more than the exteriors. But, you know, there's a hospital scene at the start of this movie that really gave me Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 vibes. Although it did seem like a cheaper version of that, I'm not going to lie. But there was some nice coordination using this location and everything, lighting up the hallways, having dark alleyways here and there. Although I was kind of confused that no one was in this hospital apart from this Maya girl, and there was a few red flags early on there with that, because why would she just be in an abandoned hospital? But yeah, I mean, the movie looked nice enough, put it that way. However, guys, that is all I can clutch with the straws for the positives. I don't think this movie was very good at all. I'm going to get into it why now, but oh man, what a waste of 90 minutes this was. First off, guys, what is the point to this trilogy? Seriously. I mean, I gave them a chance with the original film because it just felt like a rehash, and I thought, okay, maybe we have to get that one out the way to set the scene. But this is just one big, long chase scene. For 90 minutes, this is just Maya being chased by the strangers and bumping into a few different side characters here and there. And some of it is in the hospital, like I mentioned. Some of it is in a few little houses that she runs into. And a lot of it is in the woods. That's it. That's all we get from this movie. There is no story here. There's nothing interesting happening. It's a movie that just feels so generic, and it just absolutely screams cash grab. It's like the studio said, look, we're going to make 3 of these Strangers movies because they'll make money. And I can't believe that someone actually sat there pitching to a studio, or even the studio decided themselves. Someone came up with this trilogy in their head and says, here's what we're going to do, a trilogy for the Strangers. And you can imagine people getting interested. And this person goes, we're just going to remake the original movie, do the exact same thing, almost shot for shot. And in the second one, we're just going to have one big long chase scene that could have lasted 10, 15 minutes. And I don't imagine everyone was sitting in the room going, yeah, that's a great idea. So it just baffles me how this trilogy is being made, unless they have something monumental lined up for that chapter 3, which I highly doubt. It just serves no purpose. One thing this movie attempts to do is a backstory for Pin-Up Girl, I believe her name is, one of the antagonists of this film, and it shows her when she was a child and how she became this evil, sinister person that she is now, hunting people down and killing them. And it just felt so formulaic, just so, I don't want to use the word again, but generic, because that's exactly what this movie was. It was just so generic. And there was just like, by the end of it, I was like, that was just the worst, weakest attempt to try and throw something in there to create a little bit more lore for these characters and trying to get us to understand why this person is the way she is. And, you know, you could just, anyone, a 10-year-old could have come up with this story, this backstory for this character. And it just didn't go in any interesting directions or anything. And the movie almost contradicts itself with this backstory, because it opens up saying, oh, lots of killings happened in America at random. And then it attempts to explain why this person is like this. So it's not really a random, is it? I don't know. It just didn't feel right that we need explanations for the strangers. I mean, they've had in the past just saying that, oh, we're doing this because you're here. So why do we need an explanation? Why do we need this backstory? Yeah, that was just a weak-ass attempt. Every time we cut to these little scenes, I thought they were going to go somewhere interesting with it, and they don't. The movie isn't even rescued by its kill scenes, which is what you need in slasher movies. They are mostly off-screen, or just blood being sprayed here and there, or you might just see a knife stick in someone's body, but it's a big close-up zoom, and there's nothing here. There's no creativity with the kills or anything. One or two, like, some guy got shot in the head with an arrow at one point. I thought that was kind of cool, but overall, guys, there's nothing that you haven't seen here before. I mean, indie movies do it way better than this. You know, you can tell the heart and creativity is in them films. This is just a weak-ass attempt at a slasher film. The kills are terrible here. One of my biggest annoyances with this movie, though, was how many horror tropes are thrown in. I can forgive one horror trope here and there if the movie is good. This one is absolutely littered with them. First off, we have the phone being pulled out. No phone signal. 3 times this happens throughout the movie in 3 different locations. I just don't believe that there will be no phone signal. Like, they're in a house at one point where people are living. You got no phone signal? I don't believe that. Also, there is people being chased who injure their legs. That is my worst horror trope. I might do a top 10 videos on my worst horror trope soon. That would be number 1, because it's never scary when people are being chased and they've hurt their leg. It just annoys the shit out of me. We have been doing this since the fucking 70s, 80s, And you could forgive it back then a little bit, but it's just carried on for 50 years for some reason. And it is never scary. It never heightens the tension. It just annoys me. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that from the horror community there. And also, we have other characters coming along to save the day, but then they'll have a little conversation while the killers are just outside the vehicle and stuff. And it's like, just fucking drive. So yeah, this movie, in that department, annoyed the absolute shit out of me. Now, there's a lot of side characters in this movie who basically are there to put this main character on edge. I just didn't get it, especially this one male character who's always in her face and stuff. Like, the camera will zoom in on him, like, really close, and he'll just be like, oh, so you're the girl everyone's talking about. And then he'll turn and he's got like a little smiley face tattooed on his neck there. And the movie just kind of wants us to believe that he might be one of the strangers. And then she'll look at this other guy and he's sitting there just staring at her. And it's just like, why are these people acting so weird? I don't know what this movie was trying to do with these characters. It seems to be going somewhere, especially with that guy I just mentioned with the smiley tattoo on his neck. And it just goes nowhere. I was just like, what was the point in that character? Apart from showing that Maya is paranoid, but I would be paranoid if a guy was just in my face like that. Yeah, I don't know what the hell the writers were doing here with these side characters. We've also got Richard Brake in there, who plays the sheriff, and him and his partner are always sitting in this cafe, and they're talking about people going missing and trying to solve the case of who attacked Maya in the first film, and all the townsfolk at this cafe are listening in and stuff, and that also just served no purpose. I can't even remember what happened to their characters. I don't think anything did, unless they're going to show up in the third movie. And all it is to give some lore and backstory to this town. Not even backstory, but to tell us that something is going on with these characters in the town and they know who the strangers are. Yes, I get it. I captured that from the first movie. Richard Brake is so wasted in this film. He's such a good horror actor. I mean, he's in a lot of great horror movies, but here, I don't know what the hell he was doing. So, it's not his fault. It was just what was given to him. The dialogue between these two is just might as well not even be in the movie. And I gotta mention, one of the biggest negatives about this film, guys, was, look, I'm not even joking when I say this. Maya is hunted down at one point by a wild boar. Yes, she has to take on a wild boar in this movie that is trying to kill her. And there was no one in the cinema. There was only one person. I never will speak in the cinema, but I turned to my wife and I just whispered, they've run out of ideas here. They don't know what the hell they're doing. This is just filler. And the boar looked terrible. Like, even though the movie kind of looked good, this CGI boar looked awful. So yeah, I don't know what the hell that scene was. One of the most bizarre choices I've ever seen put in a slasher movie. Look, guys, I can go on all day about the negatives for this film. There are plenty more, but you get the idea. I'll be here all day. This is a terrible movie, okay? And weirdly, it might not even be my least favourite in the franchise. I think the original film, I would rather watch this. But it's splitting hairs there. I mean, I just don't know what's going on here with this trilogy. I am so disinterested in Chapter 3. I will go and see it just to see how it pans out. But man, I just have no idea where they're going to go with it, because the ideas in the first two movies are not there. There's no creativity here. It's just existing for no reason whatsoever. So, yeah. Any intrigue or optimism I had was gone about half an hour into this movie, because I just knew where it was going. I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now, guys. I'm going to give The Strangers Chapter 2 a 3 out of 10. Madeline Pelch saves it a little bit, but overall, guys, not good. Okay, guys, hope you all enjoyed this review. If you want more 2025 horror movie reviews, there'll be the link down below. Don't forget to check them out. What did you think of The Strangers Chapter 2? Please do let me know. Please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel if horror is your sort of thing. Thanks so much, guys. You all take care, and I'll see you all in the next video.